Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, listen up because this is time sensitive. McKinsey just pushed its undergraduate application deadline up to March 29th, which means every single piece of your application, including what we're talking about today, is more critical than ever. We're diving deep into one of the biggest, most mysterious hurdles in the whole process, the McKinsey Solve game, which you might also know as the Imbellus test.
So to really get a feel for this, let's start with the story. And it's a story that might hit a little too close to home for some of you. This is a direct quote from an MBA forum. It's short, it's not so sweet, and it perfectly captures that feeling of raw frustration right after the test ends.
And here we go. This is the heart of the issue right here. This single post just nails the anxiety and, honestly, the shock that so many candidates feel. You see, the biggest pitfall isn't just that the game is hard, it's getting completely blindsided by something you didn't expect, like the sudden, intense math in the Red Rock study. This right here is the #1 mistake people make. They just don't prepare for what's coming.
So what is this thing? What is this digital gatekeeper that's causing all this stress? Let's break it down and get a really clear picture.
All right, let's really get into this. At its absolute core, the Solve game is just a series of mini-games. But here's the key. They are designed to see how you think, not what you already know. They couldn't care less if you're a gamer or a business whiz. They want to watch your logic unfold in real time. And that's a massive clue about how you should be approaching this whole thing. So you're probably going to get a mix of these scenarios. You might be building a whole food web and ecosystem building, or maybe you're analyzing data on wolf packs in the Red Rock study, or cleaning up the ocean in the Seawolf game. It sounds kind of fun, right? But each one is a simulation of a different part of a consulting project, and you are on a very, very tight clock. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. The game isn't actually about finding that one single perfect answer. What McKinsey is really doing is measuring these 5 core cognitive skills. They are literally tracking how you approach the problem, how you test your ideas, and how well you grasp these complex cause and effect relationships. It's all about the thought process.
Okay, so knowing what they're testing is a huge first step, but how do you actually prepare to win and, more importantly, avoid those massive pitfalls that trip everyone else up? Let's start decoding this game.
Right, this is so crucial. Your approach, how you play the game, matters just as much, if not more, than your final answer. The absolute biggest mistake candidates make is just jumping in with no plan at all. So, here's the tip. Take that untimed tutorial seriously. Have a clear strategy, and please manage your time. Don't be like our friend from the forum who completely ran out of road. Now for the ecosystem game, here's a huge tip. Do not just randomly select animals. A structured bottom-up approach is way more effective. You start with the producers, the plants, and you build your way up the food chain methodically. Use scratch paper or even a second screen to make a little table to track calories and what eats what. This systematic approach is exactly what they want to see. And this perfectly shows you the need for speed and structure in the Red Rock study. You know, the exact game that tripped up the candidate in our opening story. The key is to break it down into timed phases. Give yourself 5 minutes to investigate, 10 to analyze, 5 to report, and then you got to blaze through those 10 mini cases at the end. You've got about 1 minute for each, so you have to be incredibly disciplined.
This is it. This is the secret sauce to passing, and it's so critical. The game doesn't just grade your final answer. It's also calculating a process score. Yes, McKinsey tracks your mouse movements, your keystrokes, your whole strategy. They reward a consistent, logical approach, and they penalize random guessing and backtracking. A huge pitfall is frantically clicking around when you're stressed. Be deliberate with every single move. Okay, so after all this prep, all this stress, what's the actual weight of your Solve score in the hiring decision? This is where the debate really heats up. On one side of the argument, you've got voices, sometimes even from inside McKinsey, saying stuff like this. They argue the game is actually a pretty minor factor, maybe just a tiebreaker, and that a fantastic resume is what's truly going to land you that interview.
But then, on the other hand, you have this incredibly valid point. Why would the firm invest all this time and money into a fancy assessment tool if it was meaningless? And the tough reality is, candidates absolutely get filtered out right at this stage, just like the person from that forum post we saw earlier.
So what's the bottom line here? For you, the applicant, getting ready to play this game, where does all this leave us?
All right, here's what you really need to remember. First, your process is being scored, so be systematic. Second, preparation is not optional. You cannot afford to go in blind. Third, yes, it's just one data point next to your resume, but a bad performance can absolutely stop your application dead in its tracks. And finally, and this is maybe the most important tip of all, stay calm. Panicking is what destroys that all-important process score.
You know, when you really think about it, the solved game is basically a miniature version of the job itself. It's all about making the best possible decision with limited time and information that's never perfect. And all the evidence shows that it is absolutely a challenge you can, and frankly, you should strategize for. The only real question left is, will you?